Hello, my name's Ed Bonner, and today we are going to talk about something very unusual and unique in the entertainment industry, and that is Lobster Boy. The entertainment industry has come a long way in the last 100 years, and many varieties have come and gone during this time. One such group has been fighting to stay afloat, and that is the great American carnival and fair industry. Many people were lured to freak shows, girly shows, circus rides, carnival games, food, automobile races, and family fun. There was one unique attraction that existed and caught the attention of many fairgoers, and that was the freak shows or sideshows. People with rare disabilities or conditions were exhibited on stage for an audience to gawk at them. In fact, working at the carnival was the only place that a handicapped person could be employed. Many of these people were able to build successful careers and make considerable amount of money focusing on their oddity. Lobster Boy. Grady Franklin Stiles Jr. was an American freak show performer and murderer, born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, also known as Lobster Boy, led an interesting life and suffered a death that was just as intriguing. Grady was born with a rare medical condition known to run in his family called ectrodactyly. More commonly known as lobster claw syndrome, ectrodactyly is a condition in which the middle fingers are missing and the fingers on either side, where they should be, are fused together. The result is that the hands look like lobster claws and the feet are also affected, as was the case with Grady Jr. His legs and feet were dwarfed into flippers. Grady Stiles' father also suffered from the condition and toured the country in sideshows as Lobster Man. According to Grady's father, the Stiles family had a long history of ectrodactyly, dating back to 1840. Grady Stiles Jr. was the fourth child of Grady F. Stiles Sr. and his wife Edna. Capitalizing on his deformity, Grady Stiles Sr. was a sideshow attraction in a traveling carnival. After Grady Jr. was born, he was folded into his father's sideshow at the age of 7. People paid a nickel to gawk at the child, who only had to sit in a chair and smile. Talk about child labor laws. However, Grady enjoyed life in the circus. He was not regarded as a freak. Grady played with the other children in the carnival community. As Grady Jr. was getting older, he developed extraordinary strength in the upper body. Grady could not walk and used a wheelchair in public, but he could crawl around on his powerful arms. He learned how to read and write and how to shoot a revolver, a skill that would prove deadly later in his life. The Lobster Boy made a name for himself and was one of the stars in the carnival. As a young man, Grady Stiles Jr. fell in love with another co-worker. Her name was Mary Teresa Herzog, who had run away from home and joined the circus. Mary was a victim of her stepfather's incest. Mary Teresa married an abusive carnival worker named Jerry Plummer. Eventually, they divorced. Mary worked doing odd jobs at the carnival, and that's how she met Grady. She was infatuated with his stardom. Mary was a bally girl, a blade box girl, and finally, Mary was the electrified girl, sitting in what appeared to be an electric chair and be electrocuted. After 9 years, Grady Jr. and Mary decided to get married. This was the start of a bizarre series of events. Marriage was good at first, but Grady Jr. started to drink heavily and was prone to anger, which often ended in physical violence. The couple had 2 children, Donna, who did not have electrodactyly, and Kathy, who had electrodactyly. Having children didn't improve Grady's temper. He took it out on Mary and the children, especially Donna. Even though he needed a wheelchair, Grady would throw himself down and use his incredible body strength to maneuver across the floor and knock Mary down, at which he would headbutt her and use his claw-like hands to choke and beat her. The same would happen to his children. Things got worse when 15-year-old Donna fell in love with an 18-year-old boy named Jack Lane. Grady didn't approve of Jack and made things worse. Then one day, the 2 wanted to get married. Grady said no way, and he would shoot Jack. Later, Donna said she was pregnant, which was not true, hoping this would change her father's mind. After much thought, Grady had a heart and changed his mind, and the wedding went ahead. On the eve of Donna and Jack's wedding, Jack went to Stiles' residence where Grady shot Jack twice with a shotgun, once in the chest and once in the back. While Donna was holding Jack in his arms, Grady smiled and said, "I told you I would kill him." A media frenzy followed at the trial. It seemed to be an open and shut case because Grady admitted to killing Jack. But Grady was a seasoned showman, and he knew how to manipulate people. He painted a picture of a concerned father trying to protect his family, and as a social outcast, he could not survive without his family. Grady exploited his own ability and fooled the people that he was weak and incapable of doing much. Despite his excellent performance, Grady was convicted of third-degree murder. Grady argued he couldn't go to prison because it was impossible to care for the disability. They had no accommodations. Furthermore, he suffered for cirrhosis of the liver and emphysema. The judge agreed and suspended the sentence, only giving him 15 years probation and house arrest. Lobster Boy had, by this time, divorced his first wife, remarried another woman, and had 2 more children. He proceeded to subject them to his drunken rampages, and eventually his second wife divorced him. For reasons that no one knows, either the Stiles family or outside of it, his first wife agreed to remarry him in 1989. Living with Grady Jr. became unbearable. It got to the point where Mary Teresa and her son hired a 17-year-old neighbor named Chris Wyatt to kill Grady for $1,500. Chris purchased a gun through a friend And late one evening, November 1992, Chris went to Grady's home, and while Grady was watching television, Chris shot Grady 3 times in the back of the head. That was the end of the terror. After the trial, Mary was guilty and got manslaughter and conspiracy to homicide. The sentence of 12 years in prison. Chris was convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 27 years. Grady's stepson, Harry Newman, paid the highest price because he was the mastermind behind the murder plot. He was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life behind bars. He ended his life in 2014. I remember seeing Grady Stiles Jr. in 1972 at the Allegheny County Fair in South Park, Pennsylvania, which is located about 13 miles south of Pittsburgh. Walking up into this mobile trailer and seeing Grady sitting on a platform with a mattress under him. He was wearing shorts and a short-sleeved shirt. You could see his hands and feet. He was smoking a cigarette with his hands that looked like claws. A couple adults were talking to him. I can't remember about what. But it was sad. I didn't like looking at him. It was like looking at a zoo animal. He was disabled. A disability that God gave him. This memory is still burnt into my mind. That was the first and last time I went into a show house like that. I guess that's how he made a living. Thank you for watching this. Again, my name's Ed Bonner. I have a few books out. I have one about Hazelwood. I have 6 poetry books out, and I have another one coming out about the Calvary Cemetery and all the famous people buried there. I appreciate you put a like, and hopefully you look at some of my books. Thank you again. Good night.